Hey folks, it's me again. Just thought I'd give you a little brief update for those of you who are keeping score. It's been a little while. I haven't really done a lot of work. Primarily, my goal was to do, I think, what I said at the end of the previous video, which is to consolidate everything that I had in separate scenes into one single scene. And this is my one single scene. Here we have our ship, our planet, our radar with custom artwork, and also a backdrop. So previously I think I had just a static set of stars. This time I've actually got stars and a nebula in the background. So what you're looking at here is essentially pretty much everything that we had before. So we've got our player character, who is made up of Frigate Mark II. He has an exhaust and a projectile weapon which fires, but I also did add the radar icon. I also added radar icon to the planets as well, so that we can have some icons here in the little mini-map. Now, you probably can't see it too well, but there's a little green arrow right there in the center of the planet on the radar, and that's you. Planets right now show up as kind of this semi-eclipsed globe, just for, something to do. All right, so what have we done since then? All right, so we've got, aside from the radar, we've got the main camera. Previously, we had the star field attached to the main camera, but since then I've also added the nebula. And the reason why is because once I started dealing with motion, I realized that moving across a static star field was kind of pointless because you couldn't really tell where you were or really how fast you were going. So I went back to the drawing board and I dredged up some sample code on how to do a parallax background. It's not really working too well. It's working, just not super duper well. As you can see here, I've got a star field, which is basically a quad. I found an example on how to set up a repeating background, which is necessary for having a fixed size image that you want to essentially tile forever. You can't simply just move it with the camera because that'll just move it in place. So what you have to do is you have to kind of use what they call the offset, and that's available to you on the material when you set it to unlit texture, because we don't want to treat this like a canvas where you can shine a light on it. It's the background. It has a value of offset, and offset, if you look at the little globe down here, you'll notice that when we start moving that, we start moving the texture on the material. So what we want to do is we want to have that happen as we move. So while the background is moving with us, we're kind of slowly scrolling it like a treadmill in the direction opposite of where we want to go. Cool. However, the stars still need to move with us. Reverse that. What I just told you about the nebula is actually applied to the star field. So the star field is actually what moves with us, because Matt's star field here is what we have. You can't really see it because it's kind of just dots, white dots on a transparent background, but it's the same thing, the offset. We move the offset. Oh, look at that. Look at that. That's exactly what I wanted. Oh, I just solved the problem. Thanks, viewers. Cool. All right, we're going to just roll with that. It may look like garbage, but that's fine. So the nebula, however, is just basically a sprite, which is attached to the camera, and it will move with you, because that we don't want to actually move. We don't want that to scroll, because then it'll just... You're not traveling that fast. The nebula is way, many, many light years away from you, and it just stays there. So when you're traveling in relation to that being so far away, it doesn't look like it's moving. Stars, however, will move. Probably going to need to play with this a little bit and get it to not move so much. So that's cool. Bonus, I did find a script that someone kindly posted to the Unity forums for targeting triangles. And this is one of the, kind of things that you really need to have when you're talking about moving through space. And you'll remember these if you've ever played EVE Online, or I guess pretty much any other space sim. They're the little markers along the edge that tell you where things are. Some games actually just have markers that say, hey, there's something over here. And other games will tell you, they'll change the icon based on what it is, whether it's an NPC, a station, black hole, asteroid belt, planet, and so on. Right now I just have some ugly, like, fuzzy sprites. And I'm not too happy about it, but it's working. And I'll go back and figure out why they're fuzzy later. But let's take a look at what it does. Okay, so here in the play, we've got our nebula is a little bit not big enough for our camera. So we'll just size that up. Okay, so just fill out the edges. So here we are. It's our little spaceship. You remember him. You can fire from our bullet pool. Down here we have our little radar. You can see our little indicator, our little green arrow. And I know green on blue is kind of, but I'm not sure whether I want to, eventually have, blue and green planets have a color, red planets have a color, moons have a color, or if these will be appropriate size, so you can know, like, this is a moon and this is a planet. We've got our starfield, which looks like someone hit it with a bunch of paint splatters. But we also do have our nebula behind it. So when we step on the gas, you'll notice that we've got the starfield moving in nauseous detail. This is kind of sort of ish what I'm going at, but obviously needs a lot of work because I followed a tutorial to make a transparent starfield in Photoshop, and I got this, and it looked great in Photoshop, but it looks like garbage when I'm here. So I just got to, tweak it and such. But you'll notice up here we've got a triangle, and now down here we've got a triangle. And you can't see because it's behind me. I can't help you there. There's the triangle right there. Woohoo! Okay, so that points to our previous planet that we were just looking at. But if we travel in this particular direction, you'll see that the triangle moves. And you'll notice that here on the mini-map, we have our planet showing up. And there we go. There's our planet. And when we get close, the triangle goes away. Now, I had a hard time getting this stupid starfield and the nebula behind the planet, but what does it actually is contributing to the fact that this looks like garbage, because it has to be, it's in an unlit, transparent mode that apparently isn't doing me any favors. So, yeah, so I got to actually, and I know that you can see the seams here. That's kind of just an unintended consequence of using the, of just creating the starfield per that tutorial that I found on Photoshop. So, yeah, still kind of looks like garbage, but it's working. Making it look good is something I can, is polish, basically, right? We do have motion both in the ship and in the background, so that's cool. We've got our planet and planets in this case, that's cool. We got our mini-map, which is cool. We have our little targeting triangles, which is cool. Our ship can fire, and we have jet plume coming out of the back. We can technically swap bodies for our ship, and that's pretty cool. So that's more or less where we are right now. Next step is I'm just going to try and make this starfield a little less annoying, but then I'm going to leave it. I'm going to lock it down. Still will probably look like garbage, but at least it won't be as annoying. And then I'm going to start working on the, I'm going to put a station and then start working on the collision and user interface portions that allows us to dock with a station and then, throw up a menu so we can see what we can do. So I'll be back next time, hopefully, with those additions.